We are Tottenham TV back here for another update. And the deals keep rolling in, people. The deals keep rolling in, incomings and outgoings. But before we get into all of that, it looks as though preseason has all been confirmed, obviously. And it's weird, isn't it? A lot of behind closed doors friendlies at Hotspur Way, starting off with MK Dons on the 22nd. Then they fly out to New Zealand against Auckland on the 26th, which is like 4:30 a.m. kickoff. That is going to be one hell of a watch along. And then Sydney in the Cindy Cup against Sydney again at on the 29th, and then Chelsea in Sydney on the 1st of August. And then the new friendly, which has just been arranged against Getafe, which is again behind closed doors on the 8th of August, going to be streamed live on Spurs Play. And then we finish off with a double header against Hoffenheim, one at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium and the day later at Hotspur Way. So I think that's it. I don't think there's going to be any more preseason friendlies booked in. That is the preseason schedule.
Yeah, I wonder why we're doing two behind closed doors, because obviously if they did it in the Tottenham Stadium, they can get the fees in, the match day fees. So maybe they only want to do one. Maybe it's an event thing.
We don't care about the fees no more, so we don't care.
Exactly. We don't care about the money. What was more important is keeping De Zerbi's secrets only to Spurs fans. Only us Spurs fans and De Zerbi can know them. Phenomenal stuff. Yeah, I'm really looking forward to preseason. Obviously, look, in terms of the games, whatever, it doesn't really matter, does it? I think some good ties in there. Testing ourselves against the likes of Chelsea. The doubleheader against Hoffenheim should be all right. Do you reckon was that part of any transfer? Because I remember we did the doubleheader of Bayern, that was included in the Kane deal. I was trying to think if there was a Hoffenheim one, but maybe we sold Ryan Sessegnon on 10 years ago to them. But yeah, so I think, look, some good fixtures there. But in terms of preseason, I think that's when we're really going to we're going to get to see all the new players for the first time. And also, not just the players, but De Zerbi ball in action. I feel like I think we all know we haven't quite seen De Zerbi ball in full flow just yet. He's had to play a kind of pulled back version for the last 7 games and last season. But next season, I think we're going to be ready to go. And I can't wait. And I just cast your mind back to when it was Ange's first preseason and what a difference it made. And I remember just like thinking, oh God, this team are already getting their act together so quickly. And I really hope we get that feeling again when we see Spurs under De Zerbi this summer.
Absolutely. The shackles are going to be released. Top talent going to be in the team. And I'm going to be there all for it, all throughout the season. I cannot wait as well. And talking of Ange, just quickly, he's just taken a job in Saudi Arabia. Al Nassr, he's going to be managing Cristiano Ronaldo. Cristiano Ronaldo is going to be hearing those great words. It's just who we are, mate. Do you think Ronaldo is going to take well to it?
He's going to love it. He's going to be golden boot. I don't know if he'll do the pressing, but he won't need to. They're going to dominate every game. They're going to walk the league. It's going to be champagne football. Big up to Ange. Look, I would have thought hopefully he would have got a job in Europe, but he's probably getting a pretty penny from Saudi, and now he's probably getting a lot of money. So he can probably get another title under his belt, and probably another title that no one's going to respect. But big up to him.
I'll tell you what, we were sitting in the studio. I saw the news on Twitter, and I said to Sim, look, Ange just got a new job, and his face literally lit up. And then he goes, well, where's he going? I said, Al Nassr, and his look of disappointment on his face was told the story, man.
I wish he can get a deal. I was hoping Bundesliga, something like that, but it is what it is. Hopefully he does well and gives him another platform to get back into Europe.
Yeah, exactly. But let's get into the transfer news. First up, a done deal, Radu Dragusin. It looks as though Fabio Paratici is still working overtime for Tottenham, because we got the here we go Fabrizio Romano. Fiorentina agree a loan deal to sign Radu Dragusin from Tottenham. Here we go. Agreement club to club in place on loan with an obligation to buy. And Dragusin has said yes. Dragusin will now travel early next week for the medical. Tottenham receives 16.5 million package between loan fee, buy obligation clause, and salary covered until June. Tottenham accept as Dragusin asked to leave and join Fiorentina. DiMarzio says that Tottenham will get paid 1.5 million for the loan and 17.5 million for the obligation clause. And then Alistair Gold says that Dragusin's obligation is 21.5 million if he hits a set amount of games, plus a 10% sell on any profit should Fiorentina make that on the Romanian in a later sale. So 3 kind of conflicting numbers there from Damasio, Romano, and Alistair Gold. Which one are we believing?
Yeah, the only thing I would say is it seems as though Romano and Damasio both separated the loan fee from the actual fee, whereas maybe Ali Gold put it all in one fee. So maybe if you consider that, it's close to 2. But even if you add the fee, the loan fee of 1.5 million to 17.5, that still makes 19. So it still doesn't add up quite as much, but it's close. It's not the 4 million difference that he's saying it is potentially. But look, at the end of the day, it's in the ballpark of either 17 to 20 million. It's not a massive difference. I don't know. Who do I believe? Who do I believe? I don't know. Ali Gold.
I'm going with Ali Gold.
I definitely prefer to believe Ali Gold. That's for sure. I don't know. I think Damasio is probably the least accurate. But then also, what I found with these journalists, especially in Italy, is they definitely confuse pounds with euros a lot of the time. So sometimes there can be misunderstandings. But I don't know. But
even that doesn't make sense.
If they're saying pounds, if it was euros, it would be less. So yeah, I don't know. I don't know what it is. But at the end of the day, I think the most important thing is Dragusin's on his way out. This is, by the way, how I love transfers being announced. No ITK, no journalist saying this is about to happen. Just plump it out of nowhere, and bam, this is the deal.
To be fair, we did report on this a few weeks ago, though. We reported on Fiorentina being interested in Dragusin a few weeks ago.
Exactly, but we haven't heard about it every step of the way. You don't think,
that's because no one cares about this transfer.
I know, but it doesn't matter. All these transfers get dragged out, and every step of the way, you get to know when what's happening. They're advancing on the deal. They're doing this. We didn't hear any of that with this one. It's just a few weeks ago. I heard it wasn't even a big rumor last week. A few weeks ago, we just heard something, and then bam, out of nowhere, here we go for Dragusin. I think it's obviously a great deal for us. I did say, I wonder if Fabio is going to come back in for him because he brought him to Spurs. And obviously he was a big fan of him back then. And now he's at Fiorentina, back in Serie A where Dragusin came from and probably wants to go. I think this is a great deal, works for everyone. Good fee. I think, we're taking a hit, but at the end of the day, he's just not far off an ACL, and he's completely surplus to requirements at Tottenham. And, when we talk about our centre-back options, Dragusin's name doesn't even come up anymore because everyone knows he's not going to be here next season. So he needs a fresh start. He needs somewhere where he's going to play and start every single week and get back on that development train that he was on pre-Spurs, because he was, everyone was talking about him. He was obviously, subject to bids from Bayern Munich, which we hijacked and all that kind of stuff. And it was just a complete wrong fit at Tottenham. I don't know, the scouting or the recruitment have to take it on the chin with this one because it was just a bad signing. We should never have really gone for him. It just wasn't the right fit for Tottenham and what we're trying to do. I do think there's a good defender in there, and I think he'll probably do well at Serie A back at Fiorentina. So good luck to him. And he's still young, so he's got a lot of time ahead of him, and I hope the ACL doesn't hold him back too much, but I think this had to happen.
Yeah, I told you we'd get more than 10-15 million that you were talking about. We had so many conversations.
15
well,
I mean,
depends who you believe. Depends who you believe. Depends who you believe.
Yeah,
depends who you believe. But look, I said between 15 and 20 million, and that's exactly what it is. You were saying between 10 and 15 million, which I thought was a bit low, but it's a good deal for Tottenham. It's a good deal for Tottenham. Get him out the books, add a bit more to the coffers. So wish Dragusin all the best. Unfortunately, he could never kind of muscle his way into the team, particularly after that ACL injury. I agree. I think there's a good defender there, but misprofiled. We signed him under Ange. If we would have signed him under, let's say, a Thomas Frank, it could have been a bit different, but we signed him for a high-pressing, high-line manager, which was never going to work. So he had a few decent performances in there. I remember when we went to Man City away and played them off the park with that 4-0 win. He was great that day. But, I mean, the good performances are just too few and far between, aren't they? There's not that many that you can remember. And when you look back at his time at Tottenham, the one thing that just kind of backs out in your mind is probably getting sent off in the Europa League after like 5 minutes of a game. So,
also, not many good memories. In terms of our lasting memory, it is a bit of a shame because, our lasting memory would be when he came back from the ACL last season. And obviously, we were in the shit at the time and we were, completely all over the place, but he was just horrific. And maybe, my thoughts are clouded because he's not only coming back into a team that's a mess, he's also coming back from an ACL. So, and it was well, there were games, I think Frank was playing him left centre-back against City at home, I remember, where we drew, and he was just diabolical that game. So, unfortunately, those are going to be the lasting memories. But there were, as you're right, there were some good games in there. It wasn't all bad. And I do think he'll go on to have a decent career. I don't think he's ever going to be a top defender. I just don't think he's ever going to be that good. But I think he will be a good defender. And I just think, it was always going to be difficult. When De Zerbi came in, I think everyone knew his time was going to be up.
Yeah, his time was probably up before that, to be fair. But anyway, Radu Dragusin, we wish you the best. Bon voyage. And let's move on to the next one. Alfie Devine. There's been some reports from the Glasgow Times that say that Celtic are now accelerating their transfer talks for Tottenham for Alfie Devine. The Hoops have been monitoring the 21-year-old midfielder's progress since last season and are keen on securing his services. Tottenham are likely to allow Devine to leave on a permanent this summer. It's no surprise to me. I mean, these Celtic rumours have been there ever since the end of the season. Preston looks like they're not, putting down the money for their obligation.
I think it passed.
Yeah. So, I think Celtic will be a great move for him, to be honest. A team that are going to be at the top of the SPL come the end of the season. European football, highest level he's ever played out in terms of outside of Spurs. So, I hope this move does happen for him, to be honest.
Yeah, I think Celtic just gets you more attention, doesn't it? It gets more eyes on you and more people talking about it. I know it is the SPL, but I think when it's Celtic and Rangers, obviously it's very different to the other teams. When you're playing for the other teams, no one really notices. But when it's Celtic and Rangers, people do take notice. And like even managers who are managing a Celtic and Rangers, they get good jobs off the back of doing a good job there. So I think it's a great move for him. I think he's probably, if you're Devine and you're weighing up, do I go to a team in the Championship? Or do I go to Celtic? I think Celtic's the better bet. It's probably a better, easier league, so more you're available to show off your talents a bit more, and there's more eyes on you, and there's European football. If you do really well at Celtic, there's probably a better pathway into the Premier League potentially than doing it in the Championship. It's not much difference, but I think it probably is. You just shade it in Celtic's favour, so that would be a brilliant move for him. Hopefully for Tottenham, we get another decent fee. And luckily for us, Preston didn't take up the option to buy, and that deadline has passed, so they can't pay the $4.5 million would have taken to get him over the line. So hopefully we're going to get a lot bigger fee now than we would have, maybe closer to 10 million. I don't know if we'd be over that, but in and around 8 to 10 million, something like that from Celtic, which is probably available to them. And it's, I think, another deal that works out for everyone. I think it's a great move for Alfie, great move for Spurs, great move for Celtic. They're getting a good player. Yeah, I think there's always going to be a part of us.
Don't tell Daigle. Just nobody tell Daigle.
I know. Daigle's going to be distraught. There's always going to be a lingering thing about, look, hopefully we do a similar deal to Vuskovic, 20% sell on and all this kind of stuff. Maybe, I think, and even if you put a buyback in there, that's probably more valuable than doing it for a Vuskovic, because you can probably get a much better fee for someone like Devine if you want to sign him back, and he'd be much more willing to come back to Spurs than maybe Vuskovic would be. So hopefully we do some of these clauses, which I'm sure Tottenham are thinking about. But yeah, similar in the vein of Vuskovic, maybe just not to the same extent. There's always going to be a lingering thing. Could he have done a job in the first team? There's such a talent in there. But when you're signing the likes of Tonali and Fernandes for such big money, plus all the other plethora of midfielders we have, he was never going to get a look in next season. Whatever was going to be the case, it was never going to be next season. So, and he's been on so many loans now. It is time. It is time to cut the rope and let him fly. And I think he will.
Yeah, I'm a big believer of his talents. I think, he's got bundles of it. And he needs, a lot of these players need to leave Tottenham and get consistent game time at a club where they can grow, not just go out on loan, come back, go out on loan, come back. Actually just kickstart their career. He's 21 years of age now. He's not like a kid anymore. He's a young player, but he's not a kid. The 16, 15-year-old player that we bought over from Wigan. So, yeah, like you say, he needs to spread his wings and fly and go kickstart his career. So that's Alfie Devine.
If we can get close to 10 million for him, that's already 80 million potentially that we've had this summer.
100%.
50 for him, nearly 20 for Dragusin, 10 for him. That's nearly a Fernandes who paid off for 3 fringe players.
Yeah, that's mad. It's mad when you put it like that, yeah. Let's talk about Mikey Moore. There's a report on him from Footy Insider, however reliable you think they are, they're saying that Dortmund and PSV are interested in signing Mikey Moore on loan next season. I mean, I think I find Dortmund a bit fanciful, but PSV, I can actually see there being potential legs to that. And I think that would be a great loan move for him. I think with a loan move to PSV, you don't get the kind of what you want in a loan for Mikey Moore in terms of building up that physicality, because it's not a very physical league, the Eredivisie. But I think you'll see a guy there growing confidence, because I think he'll get buckets load of goals, bucket load of assists, and he'll be one of their main players. And it's just a good place for attacking talent to develop.
Exactly. That's the main thing. They've had so many good young attackers come through their doors, and it is a step up from the SPL, so it would help with that as well, playing in the Dutch league. It is an open attacking division, and it will test him more than the SPL. It's it's obviously not the Premier League, is it? So that's obviously got to be taken into account, but I think that would be a brilliant move for him. Obviously, I'd rather Dortmund, because Dortmund Bundesliga is much better than the Eredivisie, and Dortmund as well have a really good track record of developing young talent, and he'll be playing Champions League. I guess he'll be playing Champions League with PSV. I don't know where they finished last season, but I assume they would be. So I think either one would be good. PSV, obviously, I guess the thing over PSV over Dortmund potentially is he's probably much more of a nailed-on starter at PSV than he would be at Dortmund, because Dortmund obviously has a lot of good players, so it'd be hard for him to break 100%. Into that team. So 100%. That I think that could lean more towards PSV than Dortmund potentially, because if he goes to Dortmund, the worry is that they have so much talent and they're going for big things in the Bundesliga, right? They're trying to challenge Bayern or trying to get top 3 in a really tough division. Would more be up to that right now, or when they've got all the is he going to be a certain starter? I'm not saying he wouldn't make an impact, but would he be a guaranteed starter at Dortmund? PSV, I'm pretty certain he would be.
Put it this way: at Dortmund, his competition is going to be Karim Adeyemi on the left-hand side, right? At PSV, his competition is going to be Ivan Perisic.
That's perfect for him.
I think he can learn a lot from Perisic as well.
Yeah, Perisic must know him. They've played together a bit.
Yeah, I think this PSV move could work. Perisic, obviously, we know he's not getting any younger. He's like 37 years of age. So I think them two working together on the left-hand side, sharing the minutes, I think could be good prospect for them, to be honest. And PSV smashed it, by the way, last year. They won the Eredivisie by like 25 points or something. So so he'll be playing Champions League football. He wants to go there as well.
Okay, so I think PSV might just lean in PSV's favour. But obviously, on the flip side, if he does go to Dortmund and he's that good that he does become one of their first choice left winger, then the Dortmund loan would be better in that sense. 100%. But it's a tough one. It's a tough one to say. Yeah.
Imagine he goes to Dortmund and just takes Karim Adeyemi out of the team. Then you're thinking like, wow, this guy needs to definitely come in the first team next season.
For sure.
Next up, we're going to talk about a player called Raoul Bellanova of Atalanta. Tuto Mercato Web says that Tottenham have made an approach to sign Atalanta wing-back Raoul Bellanova this summer. The Italian side are demanding 15 million euros, between 15 and 20 million euros for the sale, 26 years of age. I don't know much about the player, but we have heard rumours that we're open to selling Spence this summer. We have heard rumours that Everton are interested, maybe a few other clubs. And SZY actually said on X yesterday, I think it was, that De Zerbi does not rate Spence at all. So there could be some legs to Spurs going in for a right back.
Yeah, 100%. And as I say, Bellanova, he can play kind of for Atalanta. He kind of plays right back or right wing back, like kind of both those roles. So he is quite an offensive one. Obviously, we've seen during the World Cup the series of times Tuchel's been shouting at Spence for not doing the right thing, not being in the right position, all these different things. And I'm sure De Zerbi probably does the same to him in training and all that kind of stuff. A lot of that comes down to Spence himself, because he's a very self-confident character. Obviously, he's a very good player. But when it comes to tactically and stuff like that, does he take on the instructions to the letter? Does he rely on kind of his own ability over the tactical instructions from the manager to get out of situations or to do things on the football pitch? Those are obviously question marks. Obviously, he didn't use him too much, did he? De Zerbi.
Not at all, really. He came on a few times.
Yeah, there was one game he did start. I think it was Wolves, if I remember. I think Wolves away he started that one game. But other than that, yeah, he was just used as a substitute. So, I mean, that tells you a little bit, albeit Porro and Udogie were fit for most of that time, but De Zerbi that during that time. So that makes a difference. I personally, I think he's a really good, versatile fullback who's one definitely we could use, and definitely in certain situations, certain games. If we're coming against a team that's just like a really dangerous left winger, and we need to shut him down, and if we shut him down, we win the game. Then Spence could be very valuable in those games. He's also very versatile. But if De Zerbi looks at him and says, "I need someone who's maybe a bit more switched on. He's a bit more kind of open to my tactical instructions. Maybe he's more." I don't know, like passionate about, being a Spurs player rather than think of himself. I don't know if that's the case with Spence. I guess that's just the impression sometimes he gives off, that he's just very...
I'm all in on De Zerbi, man. If De Zerbi doesn't rate him, I don't rate him. It's as simple as that, mate. Like, whatever De Zerbi wants, he should get. And if he wants Spence to leave and he doesn't rate Spence, I'm not sure about Bellanova, but you know who I'd actually go for, who I think De Zerbi would like? And it gives us a different option to Pedro Porro, is Michael Coyote. I think he can play right and left, very fast, very physical. Yeah, fine, he's not the greatest defensively, but I think that can improve. But I think he's very good defensively. And you're talking about that different option if we need Spence, well, Coyote brings you that.
Well, you just want that long throw, don't you?
Yeah,
that's what you're looking at. That's what you're looking at. Get me someone who just throws it into the box.
I love him, mate. I think he's top quality.
He is good. He's full of energy as well. I do like Coyote. I think the thing is, if you're going for someone with a different option to Spence, to Porro, you want someone who's a bit more defensively solid. I don't know if Coyote is that.
Coyote's very defensively solid. He's very defensively solid.
Is he more defensively solid than Spence, though?
I think they're on a par. If not, I think Coyote will be as good as Spence, or if not better, by the time Spence is age, in my opinion.
And I think he's Italian, isn't he, Coyote?
Yeah, he is. Yeah.
Yeah. So De Zerbi.
I love him. I think he's better, probably.
Interesting. Well, that's one option. But yeah, as well for Spence, we could probably get a decent fee for him. That's another sellable asset in our squad. And if he's not meshing with De Zerbi, then I think we just need everyone on the same page here. And if De Zerbi's looks at Spence and says, "Look, good player, but just not quite the right mentality," then move him on and get 30 million for him. And in a different scenario, maybe you could get even more than that. But I think this summer you're looking at probably 35. I don't know if you get more than that.
Hey, this summer, this is the craziest market we've ever seen, with fees going absolutely crazy.
You're right, and maybe we could get 40 million. I think there is potentially a 40 million fallback in Spence. Like I think
Everton would pay it. If Everton really want him, I think they'll pay a 40 million for Spence. England international, albeit it looks like he's not starting tonight. Apparently he's injured. So I don't know what the extent. Yeah. I don't know if he's injured or they're just saying he's injured because they don't want to start him. But we'll wait to see on that. But yeah, it looks as though there could be some rumblings with Spence from now until the end of the transfer window. We'll have to wait and see what happens there. Let's talk about Omar Marmoush. There's been a report from Court Offside. They claim to have an exclusive saying that Tottenham are interested in Marmoush and are preparing an official offer for the Egyptian, but they will face competition from Aston Villa and Barcelona for his signature. I would love Marmoush at Spurs. I do think we need to bring in 2 wingers and a striker before the end of the window. But one of the wingers, I believe, needs to be able to play up front because I just don't trust Dom Solanke's fitness. So I would love Marmoush. He's actually more of a striker that can play winger, and he has been playing winger at the World Cup. But I don't really like him on the wing. I think we should sign him as our striker.
Yeah, similar to Kroupi in a sense that his best work, I think, comes playing with another striker. And again, similar to Kroupi, I don't know. I'm not 100% sure on him when he's playing just up front on his own. I think that he sometimes gets nullified. I do love him as a player, though, and I think he's got pure quality. He's more, again, of a support striker, can play kind of left forward as well. I think his best work, obviously, for Frankfurt came up when he was playing a front two with, I can't remember who it was, but maybe it was Ekitike. But, you know, when they were playing together in that season, that's obviously we ended up signing him. Yeah, but I think there's definitely a gem there, and he would definitely help us massively. So it's just about where we see him. Obviously, I think he would come in as a striker with, you know, with Solanke. But I do think I think he would be our number one striker, to be fair. But I just question him up front on his own. I do think his best work does come with the striker partner. So that causes problems, potentially.
I think De Zerbi is a very smart manager, and I think he'll find tactically ways around to make it work. And I think he can work. I think he's a top player, top finishing ability, explosive at times. Like, I think he needs to go somewhere where he's really trusted, because I don't think Man City have ever trusted him to what he needs. So if he came in here and was our number one striker, I think you'll see a better Marmoush in the number 9, even on his own, than what you saw at Manchester City, in my opinion. The next player we're going to talk about is Junior Kroupi. A lot of noise around Kroupi and Tottenham. Spurs ITK heard from Spurs says, as it stands, Kroupi is prioritising a move to PSG. That does not mean it's done, but PSG are in control of the situation. That they sold Gonçalo Ramos for 70 million, so they will be looking to bring in a striker. French under 21-year-old, you know, PSG 2-time Champions League winner. I mean, it does make sense, doesn't it?
Yeah, the only thing is he prefers PSG, but do PSG prefer him? That's the big question. Obviously, he is French, and I'm sure they'll know a lot about him. But are they prepared to pay that massive fee? You know, they've been burnt with a couple of big fees in recent years with Ramos, with Mouani. Are they prepared to pay such a big fee for a player that's going to play second fiddle to Doué, Dembele, Kavicha, and Barcola, and also Diamande, who's apparently set to come in? Huh?
Well, Barcola's leaving, but
not for sure. That's the word at the moment, but we don't know. You know, he might end up staying here. They're asking for a massive fee. So
where I see him fitting in with PSG, I think he's him and Dembele for the number 9.
I understand that, but it's a big fee. I just don't know if they're are they gonna commit to spending the 100 million or 120 million for Diamande and then another 100 million for him. I
don't think it happens this
season.
I really don't think it happens this summer. I think he's going to stay at Bournemouth this season, and next summer he has that release clause, 100 million, and if he keeps going the trajectory that he's going in, I think PSG probably do pay the money.
Okay, but I think players can be impatient sometimes, and if he wants to move this summer, I think if we put the money down, if Bournemouth accept the bid, does he do it? I think he does. And if PSG aren't winning to match this summer,
there's no suggestion that he's like desperate to leave this summer. You know what I mean?
I'm just saying, if we can get a deal agreed with Bournemouth, if they're happy with the deal, I don't think he turns us down. If PSG aren't willing to match the bid, that's what I'm saying. So I wouldn't say just because he prefers PSG doesn't. If PSG are willing to put the money down, then fine, that's a worry. But if they're not, and he's not going to. PSG are saying we're not going to go for him this summer, and we do put that money down, and Bournemouth accept it. I think he still says yes, and with a view of maybe at some point.
These are the exact signings, though, that PSG have been making under Luis Campos. You know, your Kavichas, your Desiree Doués, these kind of up-and-coming, unbelievable talents. And I think Kroupi is definitely in that camp of those kind of players, in my opinion.
Well, Kavicha had already been, Serie A Player of the Year, won the league with Napoli, so he's kind of a different kettle of fish.
Yeah, so you look... Doué, Barcola, you know, these kind of players.
I think Barcola's from the academy, no? Or not?
No, I don't think so. He was from another French team.
But Doué was 45 million, not quite the 100 that Kroupi is. So the outlay was nowhere near as big. I'm just saying the fee it's going to take to get Kroupi from Bournemouth this summer, Are they
Yeah, it's big.
are they willing to pay it? That's my only because I think Tottenham are.
Yeah, it's true. It's true. We'll have to wait and see how it all progresses. But that does worry me a little bit because I'm dying to see Junior Kroupi in a Spurs shirt. In terms of Savinho, there's been a couple of reports from him or about him. Heard from Spurs saying that Savinho talks are set to progress very soon. And a Man City ITK called Real Tolmy says that Tottenham do remain in contact with Manchester City about a deal for Savinho, but the club is standing firm on his 60 million valuation. Further talks have taken place over the weekend as Savinho's agents have indicated his man is also willing to take a financial hit to try and get things moving again, which is, the guy's desperate. He's desperate for his Tottenham Hotspur.
Which I love. And I love players with that kind of hunger and want to come to Tottenham. So I do really appreciate that. And I love him I really appreciate him as a player. I think he would be a really good signing for us. As I say, I think he would really cook under De Zerbi. I guess at the moment, are Tottenham just weighing up their options? Because if we go too early on Savinho, and let's say, right now we're even making apparently inquiries for Yildiz, and we're looking at Leao, and we're looking at Kroupi and Marmoush, and I guess we're just confirming what exactly is available to us and what's not. Because if we go too early on Savinho, let's say Yildiz pops up, would we say, oh, should we have really gone for Savinho if there's a possibility for Yildiz? So it may be even, I don't know, Barcola, whatever it is. Maybe we're just sizing up the options. I think Savinho is a really good option. And I think the price, it's a bit steep for what he's shown, but I don't think it's outrageous. Obviously, I think I'd rather pay somewhere close to 45 to 50. But if they really want him, they're paying the extra 10. It's not the end of the world. So I really think he fits in really well under De Zerbi. But I guess Tottenham are just keeping options open at the moment. I think it makes sense considering with our financial might at the moment, it's hard to know what's possible. Maybe they didn't think we could really get someone like Tonali, even with the money we're spending. And when they realised, okay, maybe we can even shop at that ballpark. Maybe we can get a deal like that over the line. Now they're seeing what else is actually possible to us.
Yeah, this Savinho thing, it's like the never-ending saga, isn't it? All the way from last summer. Is he coming? Is he not coming? He didn't come. Now is he not coming? Is he not coming? He's literally twerking for Spurs all the time as well. He's on every single Spurs player's social media post, commenting, liking, cryptic messages, whether it's about Spurs or not. I'm starting to believe they are. I don't know, man. This guy it seems like he desperately wants to join. And to have a player of his quality or of his potential quality that's desperate to join, I say bring him in. I say bring him in alongside a Rafael Leao. And then if you can get a Kroupi, them three would be wow. That would just be wow.
That would be too much. That's too. We're in dreamland. We're talking about what a transfer window from heaven kind of thing. You don't get transfer windows like that, surely.
I know. Well, we said if we get Fernandes and Tonali, we're in dream world. We got them. So let's get the dream world in attack.
Absolutely spot
on. And last but not least, let's talk about Rafael Leao. As heard from Spurs again, is saying that George Mendes is still in contact with Tottenham and is pushing for Spurs to sign Rafael Leao. So we got George Mendes on the blower to Vinay, on the blower to De Zerbi, saying, take him. He's there. He wants to come. He's there. Are we going to take him?
I don't know. I think it always worries me when agents are trying to push for moves like that, because then it's not club led. We're not signing him because we've looked at him and De Zerbi thinks he's really going to fit in, and we've identified Leao. If they're trying to push him to us, that always doesn't sit right with me, because I don't really like agent-led signings. Obviously, you can get good players from agent-led signings. It's not to say it's guaranteed to fail, but I would prefer Spurs go and get the players they want rather than get offered players. But obviously, he's a very good player, and we've seen at this World Cup he's doing well for Portugal. We've seen over the years in Serie A what an unbelievable player he can be on his day. It's all about whether De Zerbi feels he can get that out of him on a more than 1 in 4, 1 in 3 kind of occasion. If he can get that talent out of him on a consistent basis. Because if he can, then we're potentially signing one of the best wingers in the league. But why is no one else going for him is because he hasn't been doing that for Milan, and he does frustrate and he does go cold a lot, and sometimes he just doesn't turn up and he's just not on it, and on those occasions he can be a bit useless. So we all know if he was a player who lived up to his potential, he would be at Barca, Madrid, a City, an Arsenal. He would be at one of those clubs. So there's a reason why there's an opening here for Tottenham to go and get him in. Let's not kid ourselves. But could this be opportunity knocks? You never know. Could it be we're signing a player that no one really sees, doesn't appreciate as much, and then he comes into a new environment, and all of a sudden he's got a renewed sense of hunger, and all of a sudden he's flying. That can happen as well. So you can't rule that out, but it's a question of, do Tottenham believe they can get that out of him?
I know. It feels like we're forever having this kind of conversation. We had it last year with Moani. We had it the year before or 2 years before with Timo Werner. But I don't categorize Rafael Leao in the kind of Moani, Timo Werner camp just yet. I still think you're seeing him get the goal contributions, goal and assists year in, year out for AC Milan. It's just the form, the consistent form. That's the worry. I mean, I watched him for Portugal the other night and I was impressed with what I saw. I would take a punt on him on a loan. I don't think I would want to sign him on a 3-4 year contract, because I think, if he has a bad season or an inconsistent season and all of a sudden you want to get rid, then you're stuck with him, and probably not many suitors. So I think a loan with an option to buy is probably the smartest move out of anything for Rafael Leao. So again, we'll see what happens. George Mendes is pimping him out to us, so maybe he'll be open to that.
The only thing with a loan is you also run the risk of being Adebayor or Aubameyang, where when they're fighting for a contract, they're playing out their skin, and all of a sudden they get their, we decide to sign them permanently off the back of a great loan, and then also I've got my contract now, I can relax a bit, and you do run that fear. But look,
there'll be no relaxing on Deserby, mate.
There'll be no relaxing. He is such a good player. So, it's hard to resist that temptation to not want someone like Leao. But it is also quite telling. We have had a few Milan fans, haven't we? Now, either in the live chat, we know Iggy. There's been a few commenting as well on videos. I haven't seen one Milan fan say, yeah, you got to get him. He's amazing. You'd be stupid to turn him down. All of them have their reservations. So that's coming from Milan fans at the moment. But maybe it's just because of what they've been through with him over the last year. Maybe it's recency bias.
Yeah. Again, we'll see how it all plays out. I'm sure this week is going to bring a whole host of crazy rumors, crazy talks, and all the journalists piping up. So we'll be here to bring it to you first on We Are Tottenham TV. If you guys are staying up late to watch the England game, get your Red Bulls, get your coffees, get whatever you want, your caffeine to keep you up through the night. It could be a long one and it could get delayed further. So come on, England. Let's do the business tonight. And we'll see you all in the studio tomorrow. Like, subscribe, and comment. And as always, come on, you Spurs.